All right, so trade deadline tomorrow at 4 o'clock. One of the many veterans whose name occasionally pops up in trade talks relative to the Browns is Wyatt Teller. He was asked about potentially being traded.
At the end of the day, I view it as like, hey, it's a compliment. People think that I'm good enough to get traded. I hope that I don't get traded. I want to retire a Cleveland Brown. I love it here. I was just talking to these guys about deer hunting and fishing and stuff like that. I don't want to leave this place. I love this place. But even more than that, I love the city and the fans and everything like that. I know that sounds like very cliche, but I truly do. If anybody knows, my family and I, we're very close in this community. So no, I don't want to get traded, but obviously business is in business, and I know that if this could help the Cleveland Browns or something like that, I'm not above the team. I don't want to leave. I don't want to tuck tail and leave and because I feel like a couple years ago we were that close to being in the AFC Championship. Like that's just mind-boggling for any Cleveland Browns fan because it's just been since the '80s since we've done it. So we used to do it consistently. So how can we bring that culture back that goes to the playoffs? That it has a winning team. That it's not the same old Cleveland Browns. And I feel like we were right there, and then kind of took a step back. But I'm not, I'm not blind to the fact that we're right there. And again, as bad as this season is viewed or perceived, we're like 2 or 3 plays away from a lot different season. Now that can be said for a lot of teams, but we're right there. Now, how can we be more consistent and win, especially, and that's what good teams do late.
And then, not a surprise that he does not want to get traded. Let me ask you this. Who are some names that you think would make sense? Do you have any that you think would make sense for the Browns to try to acquire? A lot of the national people are saying they're hearing the Browns are in add mode, not in sell mode.
Yeah, I alluded to that a little bit earlier as well. I keep going back to like Rashid Shaheed as a guy, if you're looking to add to the wide receiver room, who you could probably get pretty reasonably in a trade package, like a day 3 pick. I kind of envision. I just like I don't think they're going to be when I hear buy or when the phrase buy gets thrown out there. Fans like to run with that, rightfully so. I get it. It's a fan thing to do. In the NBA, we all jump to the NBA trade machine as soon as like we and try to drum up these trades. It's kind of like a fun thing to do. Or we jump on Madden and try to swing as many trades as possible to like see if it will work and build the Browns in your own light. But it's not that simple in real life. So like I don't know that buying means they're gonna take the big swing and hey, we'll give up one of our first rounders that we have and go get Garrett Wilson or something like that. I don't know that that's happening. But I do think there's some moderate moves that could be made to add wide receivers who could maybe be controlled for a few years or that they can sign pretty easily at the end of the season or something like that. For like, I just don't think they're giving up that high end draft capital to make some of these moves. Now, in terms of like assets that they could trade off, listen, I know David Njoku's name's been thrown out there. I kind of like sitting here today. Well, we're like 24 hours out from the deadline, a little under that. I feel like he'll ultimately still be here. I don't know that he should be necessarily if they're not going to actually re-sign him. I know there's been some talks that they're trying to re-sign him. They met with his reps over the summer, or I guess back in the off season. I know, but at the same time, like you have the future in Harold Fannin Jr. I don't know if David Njoku's part of their future plans or not. So you might as well try to get something for him if he's not. But maybe they do want to re-sign him. I don't know. I think he certainly should be at the top of the list, but I feel like he's probably going to still be here. I actually think some of the more like under the radar names that people should be paying attention to are like an Alex Wright, who's on the last year of his rookie contract, and who the Browns can't pay all these guys, especially on the defensive line where they have a bunch of guys already sort of settled in here, and that group's going to be sort of running it back. And I'm sure they feel like they can find other guys through the draft or in free agency that can sort of supplement, especially a rotational defensive end spot. So maybe Alex Wright makes sense because Isaiah McGuire's still here for another year and he's playing very well in his own right. I also think maybe Jerome Ford makes some sense. I don't know that he nets you like a lot of value, but maybe you throw him into a deal with a pick to net something back. I don't know. But another guy who's on like the last year of his deal, not a lot of dead money associated with him, and certainly feels like you've kind of gone in a different direction at that position already anyway. So you don't necessarily have to keep him around if there's a trade that sort of presents itself. But those are just some of the names I have in mind. I think when I hear buy, I think they'll be sort of like light buyers. Like I think they'll probably make a move potentially or a couple ancillary moves, but I don't think it's going to be anything crazy or drastic like some people think, or like we sometimes see in the NBA.
Yeah, I'm with you. Young guys that they might be able to develop. I'm 100% with you.